Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, press A and I jump. Press B and Mark jumps. This ain't enough to talk, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society talks with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers, and I'm joined, as I am always joined, by my co-host, Mark Mitchell. Mark, how's it going?
It's going great. I don't know the original Legend of Zelda well enough to know, where does "this ain't enough to talk" come from? What is happening?
Right. What is happening in Link's life? So the quote that we used on Tuesday was "Pay me and I'll talk."
I see.
So it's like you go into a cave or something. Maybe it's a room off of a dungeon, and I think there's like a moblin in there, and he says, "Pay me and I'll talk," and then there's like a little thing where you can spend like 5 rupees or like 30 rupees, and if you pick the low one, he says, "This ain't enough to talk."
Oh, I see. And so on Tuesday,
Yes,
we're going to hear what happens if you choose to pay him the correct amount of rupees.
I mean, maybe. I don't know how these things are ordered. I think
Oh, it's not linear?
it might be. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
But also, like, the game is non-linear, right? Like, you can approach the game in many different orders.
Yeah, that's true.
Especially with something like this, where it's like a hidden little cave. Yeah. So I mean, maybe these things are linear. That's not, if they are linear or if they're in a way that makes narrative sense. That is not the intention. And that's not why they're ordered this way.
Oh, okay.
I don't have an answer for why they're ordered the way they're ordered.
Hey, there are some things that is just not worth.
That's really the thing, is that it's not worth it.
I couldn't think of how to end that sentence.
Yeah.
But the gist of it got across.
Look, we have been auditioning new lines from the original Legend of Zelda to happen at the beginning of the episode. We were starting with "It's dangerous to go alone, take this," which is the first line of dialogue in that game, first line of dialogue in any Legend of Zelda anything ever. So I guess it does stand to reason that the rest of this would be the stuff that comes later.
Yes.
Right. And I don't know if it's all following in order or not.
Right.
Mark, if people want to go to patreon.com/Nintendo Cartridge Society, they can do that and support us. And if they're doing so at the 8-bit or 16-bit levels, they get access to our once-a-month episodes miniseries like NCS Arcade.
Yes. And we just released an episode about Echo the Dolphin that Patrick and I played for NCS Arcade. And we also just released that listener feedback episode. So the way this works is once a month we release an episode of NCS Arcade where Patrick and I have been playing a game to talk about for that purpose. And then a week or 2 weeks later, we release a listener feedback episode. And anybody who's following us on Patreon, including if you're following us at the free level, which is something you can do, gets access to those listener feedback episodes. And they're a lot of fun. I mean, yes, we talk about the game, but also sometimes we just talk about video stores from our youth.
Hey, it depends on what the questions are, and honestly, where the warm waters that Echo is swimming through, where those take us.
Yes.
So yeah, check those out if you have not already. That's all available for you on Patreon. Patreon.com/Nintendo Cartridge Society. Our next NCS Arcade game is Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga. I will be playing it, the remake on 3DS. Mark will be playing the original on Nintendo Switch Online, the GBA version, and we'll be talking about that in like the end of the month, probably early December is when it's gonna come out. But that's just that's the pattern we've fallen into, Mark.
Yep, that's life.
Yep, that is life. Thank you to everyone who's checking those out there. You should be in our Discord if you are not yet. Go email us, Nintendo Cartridge Society
at gmail.com.
And I will send you an invitation. Mark, I feel like I'm flustered today, and I'm not really sure why.
I don't think you're flustered.
Yeah.
I don't want to speak for you.
Yeah, okay, great.
But I don't think you're flustered.
You're about to make fun of my accent.
No, I'm not about to make fun of your accent. I think you are enjoying the ambiance
Yes.
of your place, because you've got the Christmas stuff up.
Okay, so after the election last week, I was like, I'm bummed out.
All out the holly.
Yes, that's the finest. What's the next lyric there? All out the holly.
Put up
strip of
the tree before my
spirits
fall again.
Yeah.
It's a song from MAME.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I did not realize it was from something.
Yes.
Thought it was just like one of those Christmas songs that like has no origin.
This one has an
It's
origin.
a primordial thing.
Yeah, it's from the musical MAME.
And those lyrics are pretty like they're maudlin. They're very like it's sad, so let's force Christmas.
Yeah, totally.
It's
kind of like that "Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas."
Well, the real version, not the who is it that the Bing Crosby sings the version that's like that has the hang the shining star up on the highest bough, when the original lyric was so it's through the years we all will be together if the fates allow. And then the original lyric after that goes, if the fates allow, but till then we'll have to muddle through somehow, which is so sad and such like a dour outlook on life, where it's like, I don't know, we got to muddle through the rest of the year so we can make it to the holidays. And he's like, I'm not singing that sad crap. Hang a shining star up on the highest bough. So when you hear the sad version, just like, give a little tip of your hat, and, because they're doing you the favor of singing the good, honest lyrics. Mark, we're not talking about any of that right now. We are talking about Brothership, and we're going to build our own Brotherships.
BYOB.
BYOB, baby. Let's do it. There's a new Mario and Luigi game. It's Mario and Luigi Brothership. I've put in, 32 minutes into the game, but you and I are both playing Superstar Saga for NCS Arcade, so we're kind of like marinating in the sort of abstract concept of Mario and Luigi, and there is a specific dynamic at play between these two characters that informs basically the entire game, and so I thought we could just start by breaking down what the brother pair of Mario and Luigi, like what effect that has on like the narrative of those games and like the gameplay of them, because I think it's kind of unique in the way that it like centers a relationship between two characters.
Yeah, definitely.
So there are a couple things, right? First of all, and something that is very funny to me, because it doesn't feel like a thing that I perceive to be true about Mario and Luigi outside of these games. But within these games, they're a little bit codependent weirdos, where like they can't stand to be apart from each other for even the shortest period of time.
Yes.
The Brothership starts with them being separated, very much like the Super Mario Brothers movie. And Mario being like Luigi, and Luigi being like Mario. And they get reunited pretty early, but there's a moment in Superstar Saga where they're exploring the soda factory, the like root beer factory, whatever it is, and they get separated there, and like they're both just like crying, and like it's like just like Mario in my experience goes out on adventures by himself all the time. And like, yeah, Luigi looks for his brother in Luigi's Mansion, but like I don't think of him as being like, I can't function without my bro.
Right. But yeah, that is like a real feature
yes.
of the Mario and Luigi series. That makes me think about like what the actual relationship of Mario and Luigi is, because they're more than brothers, right? Like, aren't they technically twins, and Mario is just the older twin?
I don't remember. Mario is older though.
But the fact that they're twins does not, assuming that is true,
right,
does not really factor into.
They got their own twin language.
Very much about, which I think is very funny.
Right. Yes.
But like them being twins doesn't really factor into Mario and Luigi lore.
Sure.
Very much.
Right.
If at all.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I don't. Yeah. I think not. Like people aren't ever confusing them.
Right.
Right.
Well, because they're not identical twins.
Oh. Okay.
I think they're just fraternal twins.
All right.
I might be making all of this up. I might be. Let's see. I'm gonna go to the source, and by the source I mean the Mario Wiki,
Okay, good.
which I trust above all other.
Implicitly,
Yeah.
yes. Uh-huh.
And it says that Luigi is the. It's not loading for me. This is frightening.
A poison website.
Yeah. No. Okay. All right. Trying once again.
Uploading malware to my computer somehow.
Luigi is Mario's younger but taller twin brother.
Younger but taller.
Yes.
Important distinction. Okay, so yes, they are twin brothers.
Yeah, but even in like the Super Mario Brothers movie, like the animated one,
Right.
it never comes up. Like it's not an important. I guess it's like them being plumbers.
Sure,
it's not.
It doesn't
really
come
thing.
up.
Yeah.
Well, I guess let me ask this, and let me ask this to our listeners as well. Does the twin community find representation in the Mario Brothers? Are they like, here's a good representation of twins on screen?
Right.
Because what else is there?
That Arnold Schwarzenegger,
of course.
Danny DeVito movie.
Twins. Yeah.
Parent Trap.
Sure. Right. That's good. There aren't that many. I guess Luke and Leia.
Yeah, Luke and Leia.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
It's another good set of twins.
Jeremy Irons in that David Cronenberg movie where he's a gynecologist, dead ringer.
Sure. Spoiler, but The Prestige, right?
Right. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So, okay, I guess there are a bunch, and maybe the twin community isn't hurting for representation.
We got sidetracked a little bit.
We did get sidetracked a little bit. But yes. Okay. So other things just about like their relationship. I just want to stay on like the story side. So that one that they don't like being separated, right? And then that one of them is the more like heroic, and the other like aspires to be like them, right?
Yeah, and that's also because it is true for sure that Mario is more heroic, or at least more willingly heroic than Luigi, who's more reluctant hero. But it is, I feel like outside of this Mario and Luigi series, I don't really feel like Luigi aspires to be more like Mario or more,
right,
heroic. That's not really a trait that I think of for Luigi in general.
Right. There is a wish star on the like Wish Mountain or whatever it's called in Mario RPG, where like you can read other people's wishes that have like come crashing down to Earth unfulfilled. Because the Smithy has destroyed the Star Road, which means that wishes can no longer be granted. And there is one that's like, I wish I was a brave adventurer like my brother Mario. So that is presumably Luigi's wish. But I would, the Mario RPG, we can say that's like proto Mario and Luigi. Like that's, kind of part of this. But it also means that Mario is like the face of their adventuring duo, right? That he is like more famous, more recognizable for his heroism. Not just that he's more heroic, but that people recognize him as such.
Yeah, definitely.
Which I think is another important component of that. Are there other ways in which like their relationship or like the difference between them is like expressed through these games that you want to highlight here?
Not that I can really think of.
There's like the one other thing that like it's not something that I've experienced in Mario and Luigi Brothership, but that I've read about, that you will have these moments of Luigi logic when he like figures out the solution to a puzzle and then does it. So like Luigi is sort of like the like thinking problem solver, versus Mario is the sort of like wrecking ball, like man of action. Like I think that's also a component of their relationship.
Interesting.
Do you not think of Luigi as a?
I don't really think of him as maybe I'm grossly underestimating Luigi, but I don't really think of him as a thinking man or
Sure.
particularly adventurous. Like I do think that he is courageous, but reluctantly.
Sure.
He's not going out like looking for problems to solve.
That's right. He is definitely not looking for problems to solve. But when he encounters them, it is interesting that like I don't think of Mario or Luigi as particularly smart guys.
No.
But like Luigi being like, I figured it out. Like there's something there that like I can buy
Mm-hmm.
over Mario, who's just gonna be like, woohoo, you know?
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't really think of Mario as a heavy. I just don't think of him
yeah.
as like, I don't think of either of them really as problem solvers.
Neither of them are problem solvers. Neither of them are heavies. They have to be characterized somehow, Mark. But honestly, I mean, like, I think one of the things that we like about Mario in Mario games is that it's just like, no, he just likes to run around and jump. Like
Mhm.
that's why I like Mario.
Yeah.
And then in terms of like gameplay, how does the relationship between Mario and Luigi like reflect on gameplay? I mean, we kind of teased it in the cold open that they have separate jump buttons,
Which I think is fun.
I think it's fun too.
And it's really, it carries through. And Superstar Saga is the only one of these games that I've played, and I'm not that far into it.
Yeah.
But I like that it carries through into the battles as well. So everything,
Yes.
you do everything for Mario with A, you do everything for Luigi with B, like menu selection, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Which I think is fun.
And then it's also like interesting how similar their like attacks and equipment and all that stuff is, right? Because Mario and Luigi are like Luigi is like the original clone character, right? Of Mario. They have virtually identical move sets. And like I think that's another like interesting thing to be reflected in an RPG where it's like, why would you bother having a party system when both characters are the same? And it's just like, I don't know, because it's fun to have these two guys together.
They do have like minor differences.
They do have minor differences, yeah. And they have different stats.
They have different stats, and I like
They have
that.
kind of a lot of control over their stats, though. You know,
they of course have their like power moves that they both do together.
Right. Yes. But even still, like Luigi has his power moves that they do together. Mario has his power moves that they use together. So, but yeah, just very similar guy. Like, there's not like one of them that's the tank and the other one that's like a healer. Or, like it's just not. They don't have those roles necessarily.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it when we talk about Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga on NCS Arcade. But I'm curious if you have any. No, I'll just ask now. Do you have any like philosophy as you're like leveling them up as to like, oh, I put these extra points into Luigi, I put these extra points into Mario?
I'm treating Luigi more as my tank, where I'm leveling up his defense and stuff like that, and I'm treating Mario more as
your damage dealer.
The damage dealer.
Yeah.
But there was no real logic to that other than the first time
Luigi logic, please.
Other than the first time I added points.
Right. That's where you
to
put
them.
them.
That's just what I did, and then I've just continued to do that as I've leveled up.
Right.
How about you?
Mark, same.
Huh.
So there must be some sort of logic to it. You do think of Mario as a heavy.
I guess so.
So okay, that's our understanding. Unless there's anything else about like their relationship that you feel is reflected in the gameplay of these games.
No, I've said my piece.
Very good. Mark is of course under oath. His lawyer is next to him, being advised not to speak any further on the subject. So we thought it would be fun if we could BYOB, build your own brothership. So we are going to be creating our own from iconic pairs of Nintendo characters, then from characters in the same franchise, then from characters from different franchises, and it spills out into we've got more variations on that. We're just going to like kind of tease out what a Mario and Luigi style RPG would be like, populated with other characters from the Nintendo universe.
Yep.
So, Mark, I would like you to go first.
Okay.
So we're going to be starting with established Nintendo pairs. So, what Nintendo pair have you brought to us today?
I'm bringing to the table Wolf Link and Midna.
Yeah.
In her imp form.
Yes, very good.
I feel like these characters have such a fun relationship.
Yes.
Especially when Midna is kind of antagonistic.
I love it when she's
towards Wolf Link.
It's so good.
Yeah.
And I also like how limited Link is in his abilities as a wolf. That like he can talk to cats, of course, and that's lots of fun. But like I love it when he's like around people and they're like, "Oh god." He's so limited, and like it means that like Midna has to like act as a hand and like move stuff around, or like help him clear gaps or whatever. Yeah, a great pair.
Because I feel like in an RPG, it would be fun to have to kind of build out that relationship
Yes,
because I feel like, Wolf Link, I think it would just be Wolf Link.
right.
And Wolf Link could, in the Mario and Luigi style, like howl or whatever, Midna could understand him. They could still have
Sure.
conversations and build a relationship. But I also, like, you're talking about, like, the differences in the way that they interact with the world could lead to interesting differences in those like combat moves and
Yeah, and like in
fun
the
like
story
duo
stuff.
moves. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so I think both things are interesting, right? That like it could be a thing where like you go into a town and you have to like split up to be like, okay, you interview the chickens, I'll talk to the people, you know? Um but yeah, then like in battle, because the Twilight Princess does that cool thing of like you are locking onto multiple so like maybe there would be a mechanic in the battles where Midna is like tagging everyone, and then
Oh,
Wolf
that
Link
would be
does his
fun.
like attacks.
Yeah.
So maybe I don't know exactly what the difference would be, but that could be a neat little like twist on that.
Yeah, and I feel like there could be some sort of power move where Midna rides on Link and he
Hmm.
has extra strength or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's I think that's good, and that's a classic Nintendo pair. Mark, for my classic Nintendo pair, I put two different options down here. I'm gonna go with look, their names are basically they sound like Mario and Luigi, or like anagrams thereof. It's Olimar and Louie from Pikmin. So Olimar, of course, Captain Olimar is like the main protagonist of the Pikmin series, and Louis is the main protagonist of number 2, and then kind of the antagonist of number 4. But in 2, Olimar and Louis are like together in exploring this planet. And the difference between them is as follows: Olimar is a man of science. He's there to document everything. He finds the natural world beautiful and is very interested in like preservation and all this kind of stuff. Luigi is a
Not Luigi.
you're right, Louis. Um, drop the G, it's cleaner. Louis is he's sent there by I forget the name of the corporation, but it's some like corporation that's basically like strip mining the planet that they send Louis to. So Louis is a greedy guy. He
Oh.
has an insatiable appetite.
He's the
So
protagonist of Pikmin 2?
yes, Pikmin 2 is very mercenary.
Oh.
That like when you collect items, like when you collect, like a GameCube disc or whatever, it's not going to like power the ship or anything else. You're not like getting research points. Everything that you bring back to the ship is being sold.
How funny. I bet
It's like a scrapper game.
that James Cameron is a huge Pikmin fan, and he played Pikmin 1,
Sure,
and then he moved on to Pikmin 2, and that's what inspired him to write Avatar.
I would believe it.
It's his direct response
Yes.
to Pikmin 2.
So that's the relationship between these two
That's
characters.
funny.
Is one of them is like, oh, this look at this awesome natural world that we're in, and the other one is like, we can make money from this, or I can eat that. Like those are the two driving impulses for Louis. And how this would play out. It makes more sense to me, not in like a combat scenario, but just in like terms of you go into a town and like whoever is like garnering more favor in the town, like that's how you have to approach it. Of like, okay, either we're going to document everything here and like really like respectfully appreciate everyone, or we're going to like steal their cow and like sell it back on their home planet.
Yeah, I wonder if, it's almost that Bethesda good versus evil type thing
Sure, yeah.
where you have options in how you want to be perceived by the world that you interact with.
Yes. And I there's also a fun like perception of like Olimar is like he doesn't like Louis. He's like, oh, that guy, like he knows he's got to like work with him because it's a two-player, it's a two-character game.
Uh-huh.
But it's just like, all right, putting up with the guy. And Louis, I don't think thinks about Olimar at all because he knows he can't make money off the guy.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, and then how that plays out in combat, I guess I don't really know.
Would you want to involve Pikmin?
I think you would have to,
Yeah.
right? Because they don't really have abilities otherwise, like other than throw Pikmin around.
Right.
So yeah, they would have to be Pikmin in. I mean, a Pikmin RPG. I don't know why you don't do that.
I'm trying to think, like, in other Nintendo games, are there main characters that have like a really, and maybe not really, but like an antagonistic relationship between them? I feel like it's fairly rare, which would make this kind of interesting.
Right. I mean, so my backup for this was going to be Pit and Magnus from Kid Icarus Uprising. Because there's Magnus is like a human warrior who like super funny, the level that he and Pit are in together, where Pitt's like, whoa, wow, I'm an angel, I'm blah blah blah, and Magnus is like, I'm a hardcore human warrior, and, like I fight for honor and my world is hell and all that kind of stuff. But Pitt and Palutena are sort of like a where they're not necessarily antagonistic, but she kind of views him as like disposable, right?
Yeah.
Which is, I guess, a similar dynamic. Would you like to move on to pairs from different or pairs from these non-existing pairs within a single franchise?
Yes. Mine is maybe a little bit of a cheat.
Okay.
But I don't think of them as like an existing Nintendo pair. But when I say it, you'll be like, they're not total. It's not a complete surprise.
Okay, all right.
Samus, and the baby Metroid.
Oh, okay. No, that's good. So their dynamic in role playing. Well, first of all, one of them is human, and the other is like
a Metroid,
a baby, but like a life force sucking monster. So okay, how does their relationship figure into like the story or theme of a role-playing game?
Yeah, so I think of Samus as still this warrior, and then you have this baby Metroid that is, in my mind, would have like the characterizations of a dog or maybe a cat.
Sure.
So it's a little bit more
more capricious,
a little more capricious, a little more standoffish, but still sees Samus as their person.
Right. I also there's like the thing with Metroids where they do like drain life force and then can seemingly like redistribute that, right? So like maybe that also like features into either like the story and or gameplay, right? Where it's like you have to move like different elements of life forces around between things and like make this one vulnerable to missiles, and then Samus can blast it or whatever.
And maybe if it's because I have that like Star Wars The Mandalorian on my mind right now,
yeah,
that it could be a little bit like you have Samus and baby Metroid, just like you have Mando and Grogu and baby Yoda.
The baby Metroid riding around in a little floating bassinet.
I
like it.
Dangerous, maybe not in control of its power.
Right.
People might be taken aback by it or scared by its presence.
Right. Werner Herzog is there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Werner Herzog is there.
Baby Metroid.
Yeah.
It's good. For my pair from within a franchise but are not like a canonical Nintendo pair, I went with Fox McCloud and Slippy Frog from Star Fox. Simply because I like this dynamic of pilot and mechanic, right? So like Slippy maintains the R-Wing and Fox pilots it. So battles would be Fox in the ship and like Slippy working on the ship, right? So you would have to like do little things to like keep the power up the guns or raise the shields or whatever. That would be Slippy's gameplay, and then Fox would actually be like controlling the thing itself.
Yeah, I love that. Slippy would be a support character,
right? And when it comes to like the storytelling part of it, it's kind of the same thing as the Mario and Luigi dynamic, where like Fox is the recognizable hero, and like Slippy is also there.
When you were saying this, where my mind immediately went were those old Warner Brother Looney Tunes cartoons with the big bulldog.
Yes.
And then there's like the little scrappy dog that's
Yeah.
like really excitable and running around and
Yes.
everything. Like that's how like Fox would be the big bulldog, and then Slippy is the little dog that's just like
Sure. Yeah. Well, and so there's something else there too that like makes them different from Mario and Luigi, right? Is that Fox also has to / wants to be perceived as cool, whereas Slippy
Right.
doesn't mind
no.
being made a fool.
That's a bridge too far to be cool.
Yeah, he can't. He knows that's out of his grasp. Name one cool frog. Kermit. Okay. This guy's a toad, though.
This guy's
no,
a
he's
toad.
A frog. He's a frog. He's a frog.
Okay.
Slippy frog. Slippy toad? Uh-oh. Quick, Mark, look it up.
I'm looking it up. I think you're right. I think it's a frog. I think Slippy's a frog.
We think
no.
Slippy Toad?
It is Slippy Toad.
Okay,
so that explains it.
Okay, yeah. Cool frogs, of course. Cool toads, I don't
Never.
think so. But yeah, so Slippy would, he could go into a place where it's like too lame for Fox to be, right?
Totally.
Like the library.
Yeah.
And Fox could get into
Wouldn't be caught dead.
Wouldn't be caught dead there. All right, so that's my pair from a non-existing pair from from within a franchise.
That's fun. So that brings us to pairs from different franchises.
Right. So we are getting a little bit inventive here, where we are combining.
Before it was all science. It was all bookwork.
Science. That's right. And now it's the stuff of dreams and imagination.
All right, my pair from different franchises, and I have to tell you, this comes from one specific image that I want to see in a game. So that's the genesis for this pair.
Great.
It's Kirby and Little Mac from Punch-Out.
Okay.
And the one vision that I have for this, the whole thing that kicks it off that I would build the game around,
right,
is I want to see Kirby inhale an enemy, and then shoot it out at Little Mac, and Little Mac punch it into the screen.
Yeah. Oh, into the screen?
Yeah, and so it does that like Smash Brothers thing.
Yeah. I was imagining that Little Mac was doing like an uppercut and like punching it into orbit.
Oh, fun.
You know, like that would be cool too.
Yeah, that could be cool.
We can see a couple things here.
Totally.
I also had the image flash in my head of Kirby massaging Little Mac's shoulders like he's Doc Samson. Like that's cool.
That's
I like
good.
That. I mean, this is kind of just a good pair because one of them is like soft and fluffy and the other one is like cut.
Yeah.
This is good. What's their relationship?
Yeah, this is where it's tricky because neither of them really have much personality that's really distinctive. Like, I guess Little Mac's persistent.
Yeah.
And Kirby is...
He takes a nap.
Lovable. Cute.
Yeah.
But powerful.
Right.
And so I think that their relationship is, well, maybe, harkening back to something we've talked about earlier, maybe it's like the Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito.
They're twins. That's right.
In Twins.
Yeah, because Little Mac would be the Schwarzenegger and DeVito would be the Kirby.
Yep.
I mean, I like that a lot. I also like the idea that like in combat, that Kirby's abilities would be limited by the abilities of the enemies he's fighting, right? That he can really just do the copy abilities. But Little Mac, he's just got...
He can punch.
He can punch real well. Doesn't matter what situation he's in.
Nope.
He's going to try to punch it.
Yep.
Kirby's going to get in a thing where like all he can do is absorb the electricity powers to fight these other electricity guys.
No good.
Kirby, no good. You got to let Little Mac wail on these guys for a little while.
Yeah,
first.
punch that cloud with spikes and lightning coming out of it.
Yeah.
In the eye that's in the center of it.
Just right in the eye.
Yep.
I also refuse to learn the names of any Kirby enemies.
It's so tough. Because why, like, it doesn't matter.
Right.
It really doesn't matter. Marks, I know that one.
Yeah, sure. Waddle Dee.
Yeah, who are sometimes friends.
Sometimes they're friends. When he has a bandana, he's a friend.
Yep.
That's a good pair and an interesting pairing. Who's more famous between the two of them?
I think Kirby.
You think Kirby?
Well, Little Max is an underdog. That's kind of his
That's
whole
true.
thing,
Right.
and so he perpetually has to be the underdog. So Kirby, I think, is probably more famous, but it's also possible that they are transported to a world where neither of them are known at all.
Yeah, that's a great point. And so, which one of them is more like inherently inspiring? Because I feel like they're both sort of inspiring figures. Although Little Mac is inspiring because he's human, right?
Meaning he's relatable.
Meaning he's relatable. Meaning that like anything he accomplishes, you're like, wow, I'm a human too. I could accomplish something. Whereas Kirby, you're like, I don't understand your biology.
Right.
The fact that you can fight these, like Cthulhu terrors from beyond space and time, sort of makes sense because I don't even understand what you are.
Yeah, there's not a lot about Kirby that's relatable on a day-to-day life level.
Right.
I'm not really learning a lot of life lessons from what Kirby's going through.
Right. Yes. If you were to ask me, like, if he weren't doing what he's doing now, what kind of job would Kirby have? I'd be like, I have no idea.
Yeah,
But Little
does he
Mac,
have... Right, we're right.
Yeah, Little Mac, he could be like a line cook or like get a job in an office or
Yeah, I think Little Mac...
like I can
He
imagine
could
him
coach
anywhere.
high school football.
Yeah, of course.
He could do
yes.
lots. Yeah. Little Mac could do lots of things. Kirby was created for sleeping, being cute, eating,
Right.
saying Poyo,
Yep.
and, fighting bad guys.
And fighting space monsters. Yeah. All right. A good and a strange combination, Mark. For my good and strange combination, a pair from different Nintendo franchises, I wanted to try to go as wide as I possibly could to still put two characters together that I could imagine going on a quest together.
Okay.
On the one hand, we got the anti-Mario himself, Wario, a treasure hunter, a greedy person who is going to pillage, tombs or whatever. But I always wonder, like, how does Wario? Because, like, in a tomb raiding situation, in a Nathan Drake Uncharted situation, in an Indiana Jones scenario, all those guys are pretty smart. They're pretty clever. They know a lot about the world, and they can figure out clues. So I was like, Wario's going to need someone who can figure out clues to lead to treasure. So I am pairing up Wario with Ayumi Tachibana
Very good.
from Famicom Detective Club.
And I feel bad for her.
I do too. Because Ayumi, very sweet, very reserved, does not know how to deal with, her old teacher, like sort of hitting on her. But she would be able to, she would find like a map and like be able to guide Wario to some temple where a boulder is going to like flatten him or something.
Yeah, it doesn't feel out of Wario's character to be a grave robber.
No, not at all.
And although I've never really considered that possibility, but yeah, he's definitely not above that.
Right. And so maybe he's just like, because he knows that Ayumi's going to be solving murders, right?
Right.
So where there's a murder, there's a corpse. And where there's a corpse, there's treasure left behind.
Yeah. There's something to be profited off of.
Right. So I think that and like they can't stand each other, right?
No. Well, I think Wario probably is
Like
indifferent.
Switch is fine. Yeah.
Because he's oblivious to anybody's feelings but his own.
Right. And she can't stand Wario, but is too polite to.
Yeah, so
on.
maybe,
yeah,
the way that they get paired up together is that Wario goes to the detective agency,
right,
under false pretenses,
right,
and he's like, "Oh, my mother-in-law is missing,"
right,
and it's not important that Wario's not actually married,
right,
or has never been married,
because they don't know that.
They don't know that.
And like they would ask, a Detective Utsugi to like look into it, but he's gone away to wherever he goes.
Yeah, it'll be late,
right,
before they figure all this out. So yeah,
and so then Ayumi helps him out, and I think that like Ayumi's gameplay would be all conversation based, and Wario's would be he's actually got to like avoid traps and stuff inside a temple or a bank vault or something like that.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a pair from different.
That's a fun pairing.
Yeah.
for our amusement.
For yes, I'm
Not for
amused by it.
theirs,
I
yeah.
feel so bad for Ayumi.
Uh-huh.
All right. Moving on to our next category. These are pairs where at least one member isn't from a Nintendo game.
Okay.
So this is even more into the realm of imagination.
Yes. Yeah.
We've been pretty grounded so far.
It's gritty almost.
That's right.
This one,
Like True Detective.
yes.
Mm-hmm. Also about pairs always, right?
Yeah,
It's
that's
always
right.
two detectives. Yep. Rust Cole and the other one. What's Harrelson's name in that first season?
Oh, I don't know.
Rust. Doesn't matter.
Here's a pair you might see in True Detective Season 5.
Yeah.
Simon Belmont from the Castlevania series.
Okay.
And Toad from the Mushroom Kingdom.
Okay. Would it surprise you to learn that my pair also includes Simon Belmont from the Castlevania series?
No, because it wouldn't surprise me that much because he's such a great pick for a game like this.
He is, and I'm interested in to know why you paired him up with Toad specifically.
I think it's the differences between the two that
Yeah.
I think are so funny.
Right.
Like physically,
Mhm.
you have, I mean, really, it's going back to that Twins movie
Right.
with Arnold
Yes.
Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito. Maybe
Right.
that's my.
It feels like you're doing Toad dirty here a little bit, but go on.
Maybe that's the version
Right.
of what a brothership
The prototype
is to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think the physical contrast between them there is funny. I think that their demeanor, the difference between their demeanor or what I imagine their demeanor to be, because Simon Belmont is not much of a character.
He's a stoic,
Yeah.
right? Like, you know, he knows he's got to fight vampires and he's going to do it. He puts his life in danger. You know, it's fine.
Yeah, not a lot of room for levity in there.
No, none.
Girding of loins happening constantly.
Always flipping that whip around.
Yep. But Toad, panicking, running everywhere. I don't think he'd make a very good companion, especially to somebody who's
Right.
used to high pressure situations. And that's why I would like to see them be forced to work together.
Yes. So obviously an odd pair and one where it's like, oh boy, I don't really know why they are on an adventure together other than just like it has to be out of necessity for Toad, right?
Yeah.
Because that's also a funny thing about Simon Belmont is that like he has a noble quest, slay Dracula, right? Like it's a clear goal. He's gonna do it, and it's not like it's not something that he's like forced into. He's like, I have to do this, or you know what I mean? Like
Right.
it's his cause, it's his mission. Whereas like Toad will sometimes just be the victim of circumstance and be like, oh no, I got to get out of this.
This
now.
is kind of what we're talking about with Mario and Luigi, though.
Sure, yeah.
That's their relationships where Mario's like, I gotta run, I gotta be me. And Luigi's like, I'm happy to hang back at home,
Right,
until I'm called up to duty.
right. So my version of this was Simon Belmont and Luigi, but like the Luigi's Mansion version of Luigi, so that like they're going into scary places. And Luigi is, you know, he's scared but brave, right? Like the classic like Luigi thing. But then, you know, Luigi can bust some ghosts and Simon Belmont can be like, all right, man, you know, and you know, he's got like a cool voice like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, man, cool. But then they encounter like a wolf man and Luigi's like, oh no. And it's up to Simon Belmont to start like pulling out crosses and holy water and stuff and taking down the more like, you know, physical evils that Luigi and his poltergust can't really take down.
Yeah, and maybe by the end of that adventure, they're rubbing off on each other a little bit.
Yeah, yes, that's right. And I mean, like, it would be cool to see Luigi, you know,
Crack a whip,
crack a whip, throw a dagger,
kill a Dracula.
Yeah, hurl an axe in the very specific arc. And also, tell me you don't want to see Simon Belmont strap on a poltergust and like suck up some ghosts.
Yeah, that would be fun.
That'd be cool, right?
That'd be really fun. What a relief for him. What a break. You
To-
know, to have a poltergust. Like, I feel like he would feel with the poltergust what people when the vacuum cleaner was invented must have felt like. Like, this is so much
This is
easier.
so much easier.
Thank you, technology.
I've been trying to clean up my apartment with a whip. Much easier with a poltergust.
Much easier with the poltergust.
But like that actually does bring up a good point about like combat that you would have to like determine like, okay, which of these enemies are like ghosties that I can have like Luigi start to like suck up, and then which are the like more material physical
reincarnated
things.
Frankenstein monsters.
Yeah, or like a fish man or
Yep.
whatever.
Yeah.
And just like splitting up those responsibilities, like who's weak to what. And if like, so, I just had the thought, what if instead of Simon Belmont, it's Soma Cruz, and
Okay.
Luigi is using his poltergust to suck up souls and give them to Soma Cruz.
Oh yeah.
Soma Cruz, of course, the protagonist of the Sorrow games, Dawn and Aria of, whose like main ability is using souls of monsters that he's defeated to use their powers against them.
And another way the technology would just make Soma's life so much easier.
That's right. He wouldn't have to. How does Soma claim the souls of? We didn't really get into that.
He kills the monsters,
right?
And then I guess he has that innate ability,
sure,
to just be able to claim their soul.
Right.
That's like
but
his dark
not every
magic.
time. Not every time. Right. This is what the poltergust would do.
Yeah.
And then it's also just funny to imagine either of these Castlevania characters with either of these Mario characters like traversing a cute little kingdom. Right. If it's a cute kingdom, then either Luigi or Toad has to do all the talking, while the Soma or Simon are just like stand by quietly.
Is it just me, or I think Soma would be worse to hang out with than Simon Belmont? Soma feels like emo.
Yeah.
Which that's a lot of energy to have with you all the time, especially when you're on a quest.
Yes, I absolutely agree. I think that Soma is, just like he's gonna complain more, right?
Yeah, he's gonna complain more.
Like Simon Belmont, you'll never know what's going on in that guy's head.
No. And I think...
Which we're listing as a positive right now.
Well, in certain situations it is.
Sometimes you just gotta like buckle down and like get stuff done.
Exactly.
Soma Cruz gonna be complaining about it.
Gonna be complaining. He's not going to want to pick a restaurant, but anything you recommend, he's going to be like, I don't feel like that.
Yes. Oh my God. Whereas Simon Belmont is just like, I've got beef jerky in my bag.
Exactly.
Don't worry about me.
Don't worry about me. Get whatever you want.
Which, like, in the end, it's the same thing. You still have to make the decision, but like, you're not going to disappoint him.
Right. You're not trying to please somebody else.
Right. Because he can never be pleased.
And that'd be Luigi's nightmare and Toad's nightmare.
Sure. Right.
Like, because Toad is a steward.
Sure.
And so his whole job is to be a servant.
Right.
And so if he's not sure whether the person he's serving is happy or not, that's going to cause him anxiety as well.
Right. Maybe less true of Luigi, but yeah, I get exactly what you're saying. All right. Pretty clear cut. We both had sort of the same one. I'm glad we discovered Soma Cruz in that. For our final pairing, we're going to do one more of these. You and I are going to write down the names of Nintendo characters at random.
Yeah.
And we will then figure out what this relationship is, what this pair is. And Mark, I cannot see what you're writing. You cannot see what I'm writing.
Yeah, we're writing them on pieces of paper, and then we're going to turn them over,
right,
and hand them to the other person.
That's right. And then I will read the name that Mark has provided to me, and vice versa. We will figure out what the relationship between these characters is and what their quest will be like together. Okay, this is great. This is great.
This is good.
This is good. Mark has written Judd from the Splatoon series.
A cat.
And
Patrick has written Rusty from Rusty's Real Deal Baseball.
Yep, good.
A dog.
A dog. So first of all,
this is very good.
We have a classic dynamic here.
Yep.
One cat, one dog. Rusty, a lovable loser.
Yes.
Old family man.
Tired. Run down a little bit.
So tired.
Yeah, life has been hard on Rusty.
Yes.
Judd, also old, but for different reasons. He was cryogenically frozen.
Yep.
And then thawed out in the future. And now he lives his life being a judge of turf wars.
So what has happened here that has put Rusty and Judd in the same universe, let alone in the same time?
Well, maybe there's a part in the Splatoon timeline of Judd being frozen where he was temporarily unfrozen
Sure.
for whatever reason.
Right.
A glitch.
Sure.
And he emerges into the world at the same time that Rusty is running his baseball store.
So, and Judd, at this point, not yet super in tune with like adjudicating contests of any kind, meets Rusty, develops a fondness for baseball, aspires to become an umpire, and then he's refrozen.
Yes.
So their quest, however, has got to. What is the dynamic between Judd and Rusty?
Well, Judd, I think, is kind of, I would say, snooty.
Yes.
And Rusty's a real blue-collar, salt-of-the-earth type worker.
But also really, like, indecisive, right? Like,
yes.
One of the things in Rusty's Real Deal Baseball is that, like, you have to basically make every decision for this idiot.
Yeah, it's a real pity party table for one.
Yes, that's right. And, like, he can't coach you on what he wants. His children will frequently coach you on what he wants. But Judd is sort of like, that's his superpower, is being decisive.
Yep.
So, like, Rusty can get stuff done, but he doesn't know what to get done. So that's got to be the difference between these two guys.
Totally.
Is that Judd is driving the car, and Rusty is just, like, facilitating it?
Yeah, I guess Judd would be more the Mario, and Rusty
Yes.
would be more the Luigi.
Well, and Judd just has, like, so much in his future of being this, like, mystical, unknowable creature, right? That is so interesting that he's, like, cloned, right, for little Judd,
right?
And and that's, I guess, another similarity, that is a similarity between them. Rusty has children, Judd has a clone, right? So they both have, like, offspring, they both have progeny, yeah, Judd is definitely more of, like, a legendary figure, whereas Rusty is, like, a has-been.
So maybe we're envisaging a world where Judd unthaws from a mistake, wanders out into the world, kind of, like, bleary-eyed, not really sure what's going on, wanders into Rusty's Real Deal Baseball shop, and their quest is to get Judd back into cryogenic freeze.
Yes, and so Rusty, like, collects all of, like, the parts to get the cryogenic freezing tube working again.
Yep.
Because, you know, he moves a lot of merchandise. It's mostly baseball-themed video games, but some of it could also be, you know...
He knows people.
He knows people who sell stuff, you know? He knows how to do this. Yeah, and then this feels like it is mostly a conversation-based... This is like a visual novel, right? And you just have to, like, leverage Rusty's knowledge and Judd's charisma.
Yeah.
And make sure that one doesn't override the other, because you're going to need both.
Right.
All right. Great. I think we did it.
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Mark, let's close this out. Would love to hear from the listeners if they have brotherships that we haven't touched on, which I'm sure they have, because we're kind of just picking two Nintendo characters, imagining what it would be like if they were forced to hang out.
Yeah, but that's a fun exercise.
It is a fun exercise, and it really, like, there are some of these Nintendo characters that I feel like are well sketched, and others where we're like, what is his deal?
Right.
Even someone who's been around as long as Toad, where we're like, what?
Yeah, what are Toad's wants?
What are Toad's wants? What is his driving force?
Yeah.
We don't know. We think to serve. We think that's what he wants.
Which, pretty bleak.
Pretty bleak stuff. So write into us, Nintendo Cartridge Society
at gmail.com.
Give us your BYOBs, build your own brotherships. Thank you so much to our 16-bit patrons, Connor McCabe, Patrice Millette, Kyle Seaborn. We appreciate you. We appreciate everyone who's listening to the show right now or engaging with us in any way. If you're not in the Discord already, you should be in there. Email us and I'll send you an invitation. Anthony DeLuca made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can get more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host and brother, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Eller saying thank you for listening.